A United States government shutdown is appearing less likely, with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announcing late Thursday that he plans to support the Republican funding bill to keep the government open. It is a reversal on his previous stance that he and his fellow Democrats would block the bill. A government closure would have shuttered critical federal agencies and furloughed thousands of civil servants. VOA's Anthony LaBruto is live on Capitol Hill with the latest.
Like you mentioned, involves lawmakers not being able to pass a funding bill of any length. And so what that means is that Congress appropriates the funds to these federal agencies, and they will be unable to then distribute that money to those federal agencies. So once the funding stops at midnight tonight, federal agencies will be unable to continue operations. Some of them will shut down completely, but most will furlough their workers or reduce capacity. So in a lot of instances, we'll be seeing slower times for a lot of the government processes that are happening here, both in Washington and throughout the country.
Can you give us a bit of an assessment on how politicians network to avert a shutdown that, for now, is looming until we hear no more and we're able to move on?
So Democrats and Republicans really have been hammering a bill out for the past week or so, really in intensive talks. Republicans had passed this exact same bill on party lines, just barely by one vote on either side, just earlier this week. And so they will then send it along now to the Senate, which is expected to vote on it starting when they come back into session at 1:15 p.m. local time today. But really the key thing here is, Esther, is that the budget is going to be passed through what's called a continuing resolution. Means that they will need 60 votes total out of the 100 senators to pass this. So Republicans only have 52 votes out of the 100, so they will need 8 Democrats to join them in order to make that a reality. And so Chuck Schumer, like you had mentioned, is now confirmed that he will vote in a yes, affirmative to the bill, meaning that 7 other Democrats will need to, but really putting them in a tricky situation. A lot of those House Democrats were mentioning to reporters earlier this week that they felt it would be a betrayal to not only their constituencies, but to a lot of their more moderate caucus members that were potentially more closely aligned in Trump districts where President Donald Trump had won in the 2024 election. So definitely talks coming out of the Democratic luncheon that was just happening earlier today and yesterday over who will be voting for this bill. But really, it's all up in the air as to who will be doing that. While Chuck Schumer has indicated that he is going to be voting for it, the party seems to be really fractured along lines behind him.
Anthony, tell our viewers how a possible shutdown would impact Americans.
So Americans will really be impacted in a variety of ways. And so because this government shutdown will be considered a full government shutdown, a lot more services will be impacted. So immediately what you're going to be seeing is Social Security, Medicare enrollment immediately stopping, food and drug inspections going to be stopping, the National Institute of Health, in particular, a lot of their experimental procedures and trials will also be stopped as well. But in the immediate short term, a lot of our everyday services, a lot of the U.S. everyday services like hospitals, post offices, trains, planes, the FAA will all be continuing. However, that'll be limited really to those day-to-day operations. Now, whether or not maintenance will need to happen, expansion of services, potentially if something even goes wrong, that will impact a lot of these day-to-day federal workers and their ability to continue with their jobs. However, a lot of these, should a government shutdown happen, a full government shutdown, a lot of the furloughed workers will be unable to contact or really help as they would in a normal setting.
Anthony, tell our viewers, would a government shutdown in the United States, for example, impact other places far away from here, like the continent of Africa?
Absolutely. So United States Congress appropriates money every year through that'll be distributed through USAID and a lot of other development funds that will make its way to Africa. Now, Africa receives about $25 billion out of the last continuing resolution. That was what lawmakers passed just a couple months ago. That will continue. Certainly, with President Donald Trump, the Department of Government Efficiency looking to resize and reshape, particularly USAID, Africans will already really be feeling a lot of those immediate effects. Now, certainly life-saving aid, medical supplies, food, but also some of those longer-term investments like infrastructure, power infrastructure, like we just heard earlier, will all be impacted really within the near future. Now, certainly, we have that continuing resolution to go on, but whether or not those funds really make it in with that government shutdown will really certainly we'll have to see it when that vote comes up later today.